Hi everyone, and welcome back to Maths and Physics with Mr. Simons, where we simplify your math and physics and we get you exam ready. Today's lesson, functions, hyperbola. In this lesson, we're looking at the fourth variation, where we're going to be required to determine the equation, given a domain, or range, and some interval notation. So interval notation, we can give you x-intercept, y-intercept, etc. But from interval notation, you are required then to determine the equation of the hyperbola. And then after that, answer the relative equations. So as I say, fourth variation, but make sure you've gone through 1, 2, and 3. And I'm still going to do a fifth surprise variation. That's a question that appears every odd occasion to really surprise you, where we just write the equation totally different from how you're used to seeing it. Okay, so let's look at the question. Right, so this is from the June 2022 exam paper, and they've given us g of x equal a, x plus b plus q. The following information of g is given, so there, domain x element of real numbers, x not equal to -2. Right, so -2 there, if it's not equal, is a asymptote. Then they give me x-intercept, which they say is at the point K, where x is 1 and y is 0. Y-intercept, which is the point N, where the x is 0, but my y value is -half. 5.1, show that the equation of g is given by g of x equal -3, x plus 2 plus 1 for 6 marks. Right, so for 6 marks, they give you the equation. If you can't get the equation, you must still be able to answer the other 6 marks from that equation, right? So we're not that cruel where we take all the marks away from him, right? So 5.2, write down the range of g. 5.3, determine the equation of h and the axis of symmetry of g, where m greater than 0, meaning where my gradient is positive. Remember, when something greater than 0, positive gradient. 5.4, write down the coordinates of the image of k reflected over h. Right, so that means image of k reflected over h for 2 marks. Right, so again, attempt to answer the question, see where you can get marks, see what you are doing wrong. So that once you've identified your errors, you can then put in the effort, work on your errors and become better, and slowly but surely get more marks. Right, but as I said, for the hyperbola, there's generally 8 to 9 marks out of 10 that every learner should get right. Right, so let's look at the solutions. Show that the equation of g is given by g of x equal -3 over x plus 2 plus 1 for 6 marks. Right, so we had g of x equal a, x plus b plus q. Domain, x element of real numbers, x not equal to -2. So that means if I put -2 there, -2 plus what would give me 0. Right, so p there then must be +2. Right, because -2 plus 2 would give me 0, and anything divided by 0 is then undefined. So that is how I get that asymptote, right? So therefore, p is +2, or in short, always say the x value always changes sign to get the p value, right? Then we have q. So x-intercept now, they say at k 1 and 0, y-intercept 0 and -1. So x is 1, so in the place of x I place 1, and y is 0. Right, if I take q over, positive q becomes -q. 1 plus 2 gives me 3, so I have a over 3. If I multiply the denominator away, -q times 3 becomes -3q equal a. So that's my equation 1. For the y-intercept, we have at n 0 and -half. Right, so again, my x is 0 there, and my y is -half. Right, so if I take q over, positive q becomes -q minus half equals 0 plus 2 is simply 2, so a over 2. So if I multiply 2 away, -q times 2 gives me -2q. -half times 2 becomes -1 equal a. right? And that's my equation 2. Now A and A there are the same A's, so therefore I can equate the two. So minus 3q equal minus 2q minus 1, right? If I take minus 3q across, that becomes positive 3q minus 2q, gives me q. And if I take minus 1 over, it becomes plus 1. Therefore, q equal 1, right? Then we have A there, so q is 1. A then becomes minus 3 times 1, which then gives me negative 3. So f of x equal minus 3, x plus 2 plus 1. So we got all of that for 6 marks. So 1 mark there for substituting 2 incorrectly. 1 mark for correct substitution of 0 and 1. 1 mark for correct substitution of 0 and negative 1. Right? Another mark for the equation. Right? Then 1 mark for Q and 1 mark for A, and that basically makes up your 6 marks. All right. Now let's look at the second question. 5.2, write down the range of G. So f of x equal minus 3x plus 2 plus 1. My range will always be y element of real numbers, but remember we have an asymptote. Y cannot equal the 1 given. So the range will always have the asymptote y not equal to 1. 5.3, determine equation of H, the axis of symmetry of G, where the gradient 0 greater than 0. So for axis of symmetry, I only use the bottom of the fraction here, x plus 2, my denominator there, plus 1. If it's positive, we simply say y equal plus x plus 2 plus 1. So x plus 2, 2 plus 1 would give me 3. So my equation there, h of x equal x plus 3. Alright, so 1 mark there, yeah, 2 marks, correct substitution, correct formula. Alright, last question. Write down the coordinates of the image of k reflected over h. So h of x equal x plus 3. Right, now if we look at the first part only, h of x equal x is the same as saying y equal to x. So if I reflect something by over y equal to x, the x value becomes my y value, and my y value become my x value. So k was 1 and 0, now would become 0 and 1. Right? If I look at x plus 3, if I solve that, x plus 3 equal to 0, then if I take the plus 3 over, it becomes minus 3. Right? So for my x value there, it becomes 0 minus 3. Right? For the y value, plus 3 simply means I moved it 3 units up. So my y value, which is 1, then becomes 1 plus 3, which then gives me 4. So my image of k, if it's reflected over x plus 3, my x value moves 3 units to the left. No? Right? So therefore minus 3. And there, for the y value, moves 3 units up, plus 3, so minus 3 and 4. So from here, if you want to, we've gone to that point there, 0. And from there, 3 units left. From this point here, we've gone to 1. And from 1, we move 3 units up. So therefore, minus 3 and 4. Right, so I hope you follow. I wish you nothing but the best. Continue working hard on improving yourself. Practice makes perfect. God bless. Bye.